So can we start, sir?
Yes, Teja.
Good evening, one and all present here. The Institution of Engineers India, established in 1920 and incorporated by Royal Charter in 1935 and recognized as a scientific and industrial research organization by Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. And we are happy to present 38th Technical Lecture on 12th April 2022. The Institution of Engineers India, Tiruvallur Local Center, initiated in the year 2017 and executed the following tagged events titled as IEI Monthly Technical Lecture, IEI Statutory Day Celebration, IEI Battery, IEI International Seminars, IEI Tesla Awards, and IEI Intex. As on date, nearly 1,300 plus professional members, 22 plus student chapters, and organized 120 plus events with 25,000 plus participants and 10,000 plus views in YouTube channel. In line with this, today we are gathered here for 38th technical lecture for mechanical division on topic titled as Emerging Trends in Freight Rolling Stock of Indian Railways by Engineer A. Shanmugasundaram, sir. Now I call upon Engineer D. Gokul, sir, is scientist ISRO, to deliver his welcome address.
Yeah. So very good evening to all present here. As Tejeshwar said about, I think IEI TVLC is taking this 38th technical lecture on today, that is dated of 12th April 2022. So in this occasion, I'm so delighted to welcome all the members, especially the chairman of IEI TVLC, Professor L. Ramesh, sir, and also the Honorary Secretary Balamurugan. Along with him, we welcome the speaker of the day, who is none other than Engineer A. Shanmugasundaram, who is a senior section engineer from Southern Railway. Definitely, I think today the session has been organized with the mechanical department. I think the very important, I think we all people would have traveled in the various mode of transportation, and the journey with the railway is much more important, and it has created so many thoughtful thoughts. But we'll be sitting in the train and we'll be having our journey one place to another. But really, I think when we try to see the system involved in the railway department or in the engines are so complicated, and much more like, I think these kind of development would have been happened in the engineering forum, which has made it so marvelous. In that scenario, I think we have a wonderful speaker today. He's going to deliver a session on emerging trends in freight rolling stock of Indian Railway. Definitely, I think these topics are like unknown area where we could not easily get the wonderful speaker like this to get the idea about the railway and also the development activities in coming days. So I welcome our Shanmugam Sundaram sir, who's from Southern Railway, and also I welcome all our IEI TVLC professional engineers. I think the Zoom has connected with all our engineers at one point, so that all the engineers can involve today and get the learn about this Indian railway system. And also I welcome the students community, who is the younger leader of our country. And definitely, I think they will be having a lots of curiosity on this topic, and they are also going to put some kind of a QA sessions also. And with this, I also welcome all the faculty members and the other members who have been joined here, even like a non-IEA members also, one or two people would have joined it. So we welcome all the members for this wonderful session of 38th monthly lecture series of IEA TVLC. And I thank Tejeshwar, who's been taking this key interest in organizing this event. Thank you so much. Tejeshwar, you can proceed now. Tejeshwar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing your wonderful experience and wonderful welcome address, sir. Now I call upon Engineer Veerasamy Venkatesan sir, committee member of IEI Tirolu local chapter, to deliver his felicitation address.
I am happy to introduce our speaker, Engineer A. Shanmugasundaram, who was born on 10th May 1966. He completed his diploma in Mechanical Engineering Division in Tyagaraja Polytechnic College, Salem. He has completed his AMI in Institution of Engineers during the year 1992, and he has done his MBA in Madurai Kamaraj University during 2009. He joined in railway service in the year 1986. After initial training, worked in Wagon Maintenance Depot, Jolarpet as junior engineer from 1990 to 2001 in maintenance and routine overhauling of wagons. From 2001 to 2011, he worked in Coach Maintenance Depot, Basin Bridge in maintenance of passenger trains, intermediate overhauling of coaches, and as a key person in getting ISO certification for Basin Bridge Coach Maintenance Depot during the year 2003. From 2011, he is working as senior section engineer in charge for freight activities in Southern Railway Zonal Headquarters, looking after the freight trains and maintenance of wagons in open line. From here only that policy decisions are taken, and also the policies received from railway boards are communicated to the all over the Southern Railway maintenance depots. He received his GM Southern Railway Award during the year 2001 and Railway Week Awards from Chief Mechanical Engineers level during 2006, 2010, and 2012, and a special award from Division Railway Manager during the year 2010 also. He presented a paper in technical seminar titled as Challenges in the Coach Maintenance in the year 2007 and Quality Assessment and Reliability of the POH in Coach Maintenance. With this, I don't want to take much time. He is the key person in maintenance of wagon activities all over Southern Railway. So I expect more from his presentations. We can have his presentation now. Thank you. Tejas?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful felicitation, sir. And it's over to you, sir, Shanmugasundaram, sir.
Good evening. The Honorary President of the IEI, the Honorary Secretary of the IEI, the faculty members of the university, the budding engineers who have come across to attend this meeting. I welcome all of you to share some of the knowledge which I acquired over the period of time by serving in railways. Today, I am going to explore some of the ideas or some of the knowledges which I have come across on the wagon maintenance and its importance on Indian Railways as well as for the nation as a whole. We all heard a Tripura, Totanai Turu Manarkeni, Mandarku Katranai Turu Marivu. Like that, I will be learning from you also. Now, let us start with, before going to these things, we all will be knowing that whenever in the countryside or somewhere when we are stopping at a level crossing with a good train passing by, we all have some feelings. What is this? A lengthy train causing me a time lapse. Why it is causing me time lapse? This train doesn't know the valuable time I have got. But my dear brother engineers, a total goods carried or the total movement of the materials carried in India is, if we say that the coefficient of the goods movement in India or the transportation sector for the freights is 36% by the Indian Railways. Or by moving these freight trains, we are moving not only the railways, we are moving the India ahead. With this introduction, I will go for these certain things. Earlier also, you might have come across that a rolling stock, a term commonly used in railways. It contains all those stocks which will be moved over the rail. The broad classification is the locomotive or the prime mover, which is called as power in railway parlance, and the coaching stock in which normally we travel, and the hidden or the backbone of the railways, the great wagons, which are freight stock. As of now, the wagon holding on Indian Railways is 2,86,208 and okay. Sorry, you have not received my screen earlier. Now we will start. Are you seeing the screen, sir? Are you getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see.
So the present holding or the number of wagons which we have got in Indian Railways is 2,86,208. At any given day, at any given moment, not less than 2 lakhs wagons are on movement, which means that millions and millions of tons of materials were moved from a corner of India, from one corner to another corner, to drive the economy of the India. The freight stocks are broadly classified into two categories. One is the four-wheeler wagons and another one is as a bogie wagon. The freight stock four-wheeler wagons are the yearly bird or the yearly wagon stocks, which are now getting replaced with bogie wagons. These four-wheeler wagons are the basic wagons which have got from the introduction of railways in India. There are two sets of wheel and axles with primary suspension directly fitted under the wagon body, and they were provided with automatic vacuum brake from the day one. Now we are seeing a pictorial view of these four-wheeler wagons, and here we will see this is our the guard arm and this is our wheel sets over which we have got our primary suspensions. We have got our hand brakes. We have got automatic vacuum brakes. All these brakes are there. This we can further see on this is a tank wagon meant for carrying the petrol. Here you will be seeing this known as our laminated spring, which is used in the primary springs those days for the suspension arrangement, with two sets of wheels. And the barrel is mounted over your underframe, which is directly mounted on the wheel sets. This is the old covered wagons, where the commodities which bagged consignments will be taken, but these all become obsolete now, only of interest of antique values. And the modern stocks all have bogie wagons. These are the latter versions of wagons and continuing trend of wagons with 8-wheelers. And there are 2 bogies per wagon, and the superstructures are mounted over the bogies. The bogie designs enables the higher speed and better curve negotiability, so they are capable of running at a higher speed. And we will be showing a view of these freight stocks of with bogie wagons. Of course, this is a bogie wagon with vacuum brake initially started, and now we have got our modern bogie wagons with air brakes. And this is the covered wagons with bogie wagons. And these our floors are the major share of Indian Railways bogie open wagons, which carries the coal and which powers every powerhouse and every power of every house and every industry of the nation. And this is the latest version of the covered wagon, which is meant for moving your cement, food trains, everything from one corner of the country to another corner of the country, wherever it is needed. And basically, the structure of a freight stock is there are 5 major components or the major items which we are having. The master one being the bogie and the superstructure or the body, which carries the materials, and the underframe, which is the load-bearing member of a wagon. Brake gear, which is a controlling mechanism of the freight stock. The draw and buffing gear, the specialized equipments available in rail vehicles comparing to other road vehicles. Bogie. Bogie is basically an independent unit used under a wagon with 2 bogies per wagon. And bogies are usually mounted on 2 pairs of wheels, but there are some special type of bogies where there are 3 pairs of wheels are also available. But in practice, mostly we are using 2 pairs of wheels. Each bogie carries half the load of the vehicle body as well as the contents which have been loaded on the bogie or loaded on the wagon. And each bogie is provided with a pivot on bolster for engagement with its counterpart provided on the underframe of the vehicle. This bogie tracks can sway about these pivots with ease and without restraining the vehicle body while negotiating a curved track. So, when negotiating a curved track, the body will not be subjected to any stress. And the basic requirement of the bogies are, in a design aspect, it should fulfill the linear condition when it is running on a straight line, as well as it has to negotiate the curve as designed on the railways, as well as it's apart from that, the bogie is the component which has the energy transmission and control in linear direction as well as in the rotational direction. You should have the roll prevention so that the wagon body will not take an offload of the track. And you should have the ability to filter out the irregularity between track and bogie. Even though there is some irregularity between the track, it will not be transmitted to the body, or it will not allow the concept of offloading to take place so that the wagon will not get derailed. And when it is stopped in a wayside station or at the loading or unloading point, it must be in a position to bear the static load away from the dynamic load when it is on the run. And the freight stock, the bogie wagons are, we have got many types which have been used. Initially, we have got diamond frame bogie, cast steel bogie, UAC bogies, and the present trend is we are using cast nut bogies, LCCF bogies, and LWLH bogies. These cast nut bogie, LCCF, and LWLHs are the modern trends which revolutionize the speed of the vehicles. Now we are seeing a diamond frame bogie used in a very long time in Indian Railways. The production has been abolished and the use has been discontinued for time being because of its cost of maintenance and lower reliability comparing to the modern days bogies. And we will see that IRS cast bogie, which have been used in coaches as well as in wagons, with its complicated mechanisms with all riveted constructions. And after that comes the UAC bogie, which can carry 40 box load or almost 3,500 tons of load in a section, in a train. The UAC bogie is Union of International Carrier designed bogies, which have been used quite a long time in Indian Railways with vacuum brake. Way back from 1960s, to 1990s. And still some bogies, specialized bogies are still specialized wagons are running with these UAC bogies, but with air brake systems modified on and fitted on the wagon body. And this is the real turnout and the Casner bogies, which is currently in use for most of the wagons with its variants capable of running at higher speed in almost 80 to 90% of the wagons in Indian Railways. There are so many variations in the Casner bogie. The initial design of the Casner bogie was 22W, which is not in use as of now. Then, as an advanced version on that, we have got a Casner 22W retrofitted. Then we came with the first modification codenamed as 22WM. Then we have got another series of wagons with narrow jaws, which are coded as 22NL, NLB, NLM, and the latest 22NLC. Apart from that, we have got high-speed Casner bogies with 22HS coding. And a modified version of this Casner bogies is our IRF 108HS bogie, and a product-specific LCCF 20C bogie is also available. We will go for the first Casner 22W bogie. It has got a wide jaw adapter category without any primary suspension, that is, without any elastomeric pad. And it has got a aerostrip center pivot. There is no locking of the center pivot with booster pin or locking of the bogie with the body. Just by the center of, only by the gravitational force, it will be held together. And it has got a clearance type side bearers with two and a brake beam with packet and sliding type. The brake head is an integral part of the brake beam. And the maximum speed that can be achieved with bogies is 75 kmph. And we have retrofitted the Casner 22W to give some fluctuations for our wheel sets or some fluctuations and some damage at the primary suspension level. And we have introduced an elastomers in between the bogie frame and the wheel sets, and that's called as an elastomeric pad retrofitted with, to accommodate the elastomeric pad, we have got a modified wide jaw adapters, and the lower dimensions have been used, and it has got a constant contact side bearer so that the wagon body is always supported on the boat. Then we have got for another modification, the first modified bogie of Casner 22W. Here, the EM pad was introduced along with the wide jaw adapter and the side frame, in which the adapter is sitting, is provided with a negative camper for getting the same buffer height, which is one of the design criteria for the rail vehicles. And it also uses the same spherical type center pivot, but it has got one castle nut and split pin at the bottom. Then it has got a constant contact type side bearers, which have got a metal bonded side bearers housed in a modified housing. And it has got a suspended hanger type brake beam. This version of the bogie is also later discontinued and replaced with modern narrow jaw adapter bogies, which we call it as a Casner 22NL series of bogies. The initial design has came with Casner 22NL. This narrow jaw category was issued. The adapter used here or the bearing element which is getting structured in this adapter is of smaller size, and this has been used as a standard version for further later versions. This side frame has been modified with, again, going by the sliding type brake beam because of its advantages, and the central pivot, that is the body bogie connection, will be secured with a cycle lock so that the body and bogie will not get separated during run or any other tipping operations during loading and unloading operations. The other series of the Casner 22, the next version is with Casner 22 NLB bogie or a fish belly bogie, where at the center, it reduces the total weight of the bogie or the unladen weight of the bogie or the tare weight of the bogie, or in terms, the tare running or the empty weight of the train has been reduced. Then there is an introduction of the Casnab 22 NLM bogie, where the material of the bolster has been changed and side frame has been changed, which resulted in saving in the weight of the bogie. Then the newcomer, the latest version is Casnab 22 NLC bogie, which can take 25 tons of the axle load. This also used in Casnab 22 NLC, but they were all used for the wagons meant for iron ore with side discharges. Then we came for this. So far, this NLB, we have raised the number of the tonnage, what it can carry, or the carrying capacity. The another one is we are going for the in a transportation, we can raise the revenues either by increasing the load on a particular vehicle or by increasing the speed. So in order to cater to the speed, because we are moving at a faster pace and we will be expecting our trains also to move at a faster pace. So in order to cater to this need, the high-speed bogies have been developed and they are termed as Casnab 22HS and IRF 108HS bogies. Here also we have got USC type spherical centrifuge and flat centrifuge solutions. They are developed for an operational speed of 100 kilometers per hour comparing to the 75 kmph and 80 kmph by the earlier versions of the bogies. It's almost same type of NLP type, except the clearances between the bolster and the side frame have been increased. And we are using the latter materials of U type instead of the spring-loaded type in the side bearers, which is bearing the load of the wagon body with the bogie frame. And it has got two-stage suspension that is softer in tare, that is in the empty condition to run, and a stiffer load bearing for the grass condition or the full load condition. Now we are seeing the view of the LCCF bogies, that is low container carrying flat bogies. These are all meant for the specialized type of wagons, like your container trains. This LCC bogies is for the low platform BG container flat wagons. They are provided with the 840 mm diagonal sets so that the total height of the wagon from rail level will come so that it can carry the international containers on the formation with the ease without speed restriction. The category with wide jaw adapter, set frame key, and keyboards have been provided. It has got spring-loaded side bearers and it has got a top center pivot, retaining center pivot with saddle lock and pin to hold. Now we are going to the next item of the wagon, the superstructure. It varies according to the type and the usage. The general types of the wagons were open wagons, covered wagons, hopper wagons, tank wagons, flat wagons, special type of wagons. Of course, even though there are so many types, all the types contains underframe over which the body is built according to the type it needs. Now we are seeing some of the figures of the open wagon, modern wagons of box and HL wagon and the box and HS wagon, mainly meant for carrying the coal and minerals. Normally, these wagons have been made or constructed with meant for loading from the top and unloading from the side doors. And it has, when we are seeing inside, you can see a cubic capacity of 61 cubic meter is available in these wagons, and it can carry so much of load. And the box, the other versions also we are seeing box and HL and box and HS wagons. These are all made from the anti-corrosive materials of cotton steels and IRSM 44, what we call it as a copper alloy steels we are using to avoid corrosions. And now we are moving to covered wagons, which are meant for carrying your food grains, fertilizers, and bagged quantities like cement and other things. And the width height inside is 3060 mm, and the materials can be loaded from the door opening. And in BCN HL wagons, we have got a sliding door so that it can carry more material without obstructing the standard moving dimension, which is restricted by the tunnels and other those things. Whereas BCN AHS and is having normal standard side opening doors through which we can load and unload. The maximum action load is 22.9 tons for the covered wagons. The tab weight or the empty wagon weight is 20.8, and the payload or the carrying capacity of a BCNHL wagon is 70.8 tons. Or in other words, it carries almost 3.5 times of its tab weight while on run. And it can have 58 wagons per train, or a throughput of the rake. When your train is done, you will be transmitting almost 4,100 tons. If you imagine with the lorries, how many lorries it will be required to carry such a things? And further things is, these wagons are fit to run at 100 kmph. Imagine a train carrying 100 kmph and traveling from one end of the corner of the India to the other corner of our motherland, and the time taken will be very less comparing to other roads. And these streets are for the normal train operations, and these wagons are to run at 120 kmph in our dedicated freight corridors. And we have got a special type of flat wagons. Now we are seeing two types of wagons, BRNA and BRNA unloadable wagons. You might have seen many boiler constructions and many steel industries. We will be seeing that steel billets and all those things are moving. And these can be very easily loaded in a wagon. And these wagons are specially meant for carrying that kind of things. The type of commodities we can have the rails, steel plates, slippers, coils, that is steel coils, everything can be done. And these commodities being the heavy, can be lifted by the crane. And we have got subsidized hopper wagons, which will enable us the faster loading and unloading. These BOB wagons are mainly meant for ballast carrying for the railway use, whereas this BOBSN can be used for coal loadings. BOBSN is one of the wagons mainly used by many of the powerhouses in India, which will have a very shorter time for unloading as well as for loading, which gives more turnaround for the train or more utilization of the train. And it has got an advantage of bottom discharge. So when the door is opened, automatically the road will get discharged from bottom. And BCFC is another specialized wagon which has been meant for carrying the loose cement and fly ash in the wagon from one area to another area without needing a packing. And it has got top inlet hatches through which it will be loaded. And for bottom discharge in a fluidized manner with an air-assisted things, these cements can be easily unloaded. And we know for moving diesel or petrol from one end to the other end, or the aviation petrol, we need wagons. If you think about a PTPN wagon with a rate of 50 wagons, it will be carrying how much it does. It is gallons and gallons of liquid can be moved by a single train. If you want to replace a single wagon, you need at least 3 tanker lorries to fill up. Then you imagine about some 50 tank wagons. If you want a 50 tank train to be replaced by our normal road tankers, we will be requiring something around 150 tankers minimum. You imagine about the road traffic and how much it will be hardship for us to transport the oils. So for moving our automobiles or our competitor, also we are using our wagons, that specialized things for BTP and wagons. It can be used for moving the day-to-day fuels of kerosene, petrol, diesel, naphtha. And we have got another specialized tank wagon, BTAP wagon it is called. It is mainly for carrying the alumina powder from one industry to another industries. And we are carrying the hazardous materials also with inbuilt safety provisions provided inside the wagons by a wagon called as BTCS, which is meant for transporting a caustic soda in a very safe manner, which contains a rubber lining inside, safety walls, safety vents, and all those things are provided there in it. Now you can see BTBGLN wagons. You might have seen many of the body. And we know in India, we will be having our LPGs production at one place, or we will be getting the LPGs through our ports, and it needs to be taken to the bottling plants of our LPG. How we can carry it? Is it possible to carry everything by a road vehicle? It will be easier to carry that one. So we have got a specialized wagon for that one, known as BTBGLN wagons, which has got a refrigeration facilities to keep these liquid LPGs in that liquid stage itself. And this is provided with a custom 22 NLP bogie, and it can run at a speed of 80 kmph. And BTCS is another wagon meant for chemicals or acidic materials to carry. And apart from that, we know one of the problems many people feel in transporting materials through the railways is they cannot have it in door delivered. To solve that problem, we come across with a design where your materials will be loaded on the containers from your doorstep, which will be carried to any one of the railway yard, from where it will be loaded on the BLC wagon and taken at a very fast speed comparing to other modes of transportation. And it can be unloaded from the wagon as a container in a wood and can be supplied to your doorsteps. So this kind of wagons, we call it as the container wagons. And these are all the future wagons, which will solve many of the needs of the Indian industry, as well as the commercial industries also. Even any thing can be moved by this container with, and these two types we are having is, one is BLC wagon, another one is the BLLA wagon we are using. This BLLA wagon is for the larger containers, that is 40 feet containers we can use. 45 feet containers also we can use in a BLL wagon. And 40 feet and 20 feet containers can be very well loaded in the BLC wagons. And to have this movement at a faster rate, we have designed such that these BLC wagons will have a low flow rate from the rails, so that the containers will be within the limit of our normal moving dimensions. And you can see that the buffer height of a BLLA is always kept as 1105 from one end, whereas the BLLB is kept at 845, or the B type because will have the 845 mm, so that this 1105 mm is maintained to attach our standard vehicles of railways, whereas this 845 will be for a low height carrying capacities, and which can be used as a train formation to solve many of your containers taken at a faster time, at a faster speed to every destination. These are all the specialized features, salient features of the container wagon. These are provided with LCC bogie, as I said earlier, and this BLLA and BLLB both will be available in a train. These BLLA wagons will be attached at the ends of the consist. We are normally call it as a consist, so that BLLA two BLLA wagons intermediate by the three BLLB wagons will be placed as a one consist, and we can have up to 8 consist in a train, and these trains can run at a speed of 100 kmph. Then we have got BLCA and BLCB, which can have 45 wagons in a train, and they can also run at a speed of 100 kmph. And nowadays we have got modified versions of these BLC wagons, which we can carry double stack containers. Of course, it is not available in our route as of present, but they are already running in our dedicated freight corridors and part of the Western Railway, where we can augment the capacity of the train by doubling the number of containers it is carrying. And we have got a specialized special purpose wagon. We know in our Chennai belt, we are the major, almost our Chennai is the automobile of India, we know. And we are producing so many SUVs, so many light compact vehicles, so many two-wheelers and everything. But our end users or the customers are everywhere in India. If you imagine a person purchasing his car at Jammu and he is getting his car delivered from Chennai factory, traveling all the kilometers by his own, how much wear and tear he will feel. Suppose if it is transported by a specialized road vehicles, those vehicles can at a time can carry only 2 cars in a truck. But we have got a solution for that. Now we can see the figures, how the cars have been stacked inside the wagon. And each wagon we can transport almost 6 plus 5, 11 cars in, and it is double stacked. At the bottom deck, we can have 5 cars and 6 cars in the top decks in the end caps, end wagons, and in middle wagons, we can have 12 cars, or the 380 cars can be transported in a single train. And it is more cost effective comparing to the road wagons. And the speed of the train is 90 kmph, and you can expect, and we have got many private operators using these wagons for transporting automobiles from our Chennai belt to the end users at Delhi, Bombay, and Northeast. And these stocks are sent in a scheduled time deliveries, and they are reaching within the day of within a period of 2 to 3 days. Imagine if it is driven by a road vehicle, how many days or weeks it will take to reach Delhi or Northeast. So we are faster, and we have got a specialized thing. Then comes the BOM and wagons. As you all know, Indian Railways have been started as an associate of the defense sector, and we are initially meant for taking our defense things. The latest arms on the defense sector helping carrying these our BOM wagons, mainly meant for carrying the tankers of our defense. And we have got BWTP because we know a tank cannot be so easily moved on a road. And for taking this military tank wagons, we have got a specialized design with well-designed or a lower platform design so that these tank wagons can be well accommodated, and that's called as BWTP wagons. And for Arjun tanks, we have got a specialized designed wagons called as BWTA wagons. Now we are seeing the pictorial use of this BWTP wagon and Bowman wagons. And here you can see the payload is 15 tons, and the throughput per rake is we can take up to 315 cars per in a BCHBM rake. And 1147 tons can be carried by a single BOM and wagons, and the BWTP can have 2,300 tons. All these wagons have been provided with Casnab 23 NLB bogies and LCCM bogies, and they can run at a speed of 65 km/h, now upgraded to 80 km/h. Now we have seen the various types of the wagons which have been in use. Now we will go for the construction details or the basic engineering details of the wagons. Any wagon, we have got one structure called as an underframe, which is the main load-bearing member over which the body is built, and the contents which we are transporting will be built. When you are seeing here, these end forms, which forms from the end to end, is called as soul bars. And the squareness of this vehicle is maintained by providing 2 headstocks. And to transmit the load, we have got 2 parts called as cross beams or cross bars. And for the end to end, we have got called as center seal. This one. And this forms the basic structure of any underframe. And in between, and according to the type of the wagon and according to the type of the loading of the wagons, we will have crossbars and stringers are attached to it. and it provides the skeleton for the wagon body. Now we have seen the construction, we have seen how much speed our train can run and all. Then now we are going how we can control a train because we know any vehicle which can be run with a prime mover has to be brought to a stop when and where we require. So that we are providing by a brake gear. The brake system of a railway vehicle is different from other things, and the requirements are differing. And the brake gear or the railway wagon brake system needs the following. The brakes of the wagons needs to be controlled from the locomotive or the train engine, from where a train operator will be operating the train. Unlike an automobile vehicle, where the control will be within the same vehicle, then the system should be such designed that it should have an automatic braking in case of unforeseen conditions like a parting or a derailment. All those conditions, this train has to be brought to a stop by its own. And especially there is another point, especially for the wagon stocks or the freight stocks. Because when we are seeing any type of wagon, you see that's stair weight or the unladen weight or the empty wagon weight is something around 25 tons, 20 to 25 tons. Whereas its carrying capacity is more than 3 times of it. Or the loaded braking force required will be almost 4 times in its loaded condition. So it will some specialized mechanisms so that we will have 2 differential braking forces acting whenever it is needed. This is the specialized need of a railway freight stock. And we can see here from this formula the max. However, if we want to increase as such, we cannot increase the brake force because even though we are applying by a clamp brake, the vehicle or its dynamic movement can come to a stand only by the additional force between the rail and the top of wheel, like your tire and the road in an automobile. And this is driven by a formula. This total force, addition force maximum is depends upon the wheel rail adhesive coefficient VA, which is normally 0.3 for a dry rail and reduces to a level of 0.22 for a wet rail in a monsoon conditions. And M is the mass of the moving vehicle and G is our gravity constant. Thus, the brake, since here we will see the mu and G may also be taken as a constant, but the mass of the vehicle, that is the varying factor. Thus, the braking force for an empty wagon is restricted comparing to loaded wagon. Suppose if we have got the same braking force for a loaded wagon, when the brakes are applied, the wheels will come to a sliding movement over the rails. Even though brakes are applied, wheels is not rotating, but the wheel along with the vehicle will slide over rail, which is an undesirable effect, which will have the faster wears on rail, as which we call as a wheel bar, and the wear on the wheels, which we call as flat tires, and one of the cause for the selling and all. But if we suppose if we are restricting our brake force to an empty wagon, we cannot control a train within a short distance for a loaded wagon. So we need very higher braking force for a loaded wagon. How we are going to achieve it, we will see in the letter. And basically, the brake gears or brake system contains 3 mediums. One is an air brake system, which is the medium or a controlling method from which the driver or the loco pilot will be controlling the entire train or the entire brake of the wagons in the train from his controlling console on the situated in a locomotive. And then we have got body brake gear, which will have the brakes, linkages, multiplication factors according to the type of the wagon. And we will have the bogie brake gear, which will have the brakes applied on the wheel sets by clamp brakes. Now we are seeing a brake gear, that is the air brake system or the pneumatic signals by which the brake force is created inside a wagon. And here we have got a controlling mechanism, we have brake pipe, running throughout the train, where we will be sending a signal of 5 kg pressure as a brake pipe, and we have got a distributor valve which will sense always this brake pipe pressure, and it will supply air to its brake cylinders to have to convert the pneumatic pressure available according to the desire of the loco pilots as a mechanical force. Or the brake cylinder is a converter which is used to convert the pneumatic force into the mechanical force. And a mechanical force which is applied over this brake cylinder. And here we have got one design called as the load empty device. And this we will have a sketch of this begin. This area we call as the Bogie brake gear, and this is the linkages or a multiplication vector. And this is the device, load empty device, where we are getting the salvation of having lesser brake force for an empty wagon and higher brake force for the loaded wagon. For that, we have got two levers attached to a imposed between two levers. One is called as a live lever, another one is a dead lever. By modifying the arrangements or by locking any one of these two levers, two tie rods, we will be varying the effort applied or the leverage ratio we are changing it according to the need, whether it is required for an empty or a failure. For an empty, we will have a lesser leverage so that the force acting at the brake head or the brake block or the force acting on the wheels will be at a lower time for an empty wagon, and it will be higher for a loaded wagon. In between that, we have got a brake regulator also imposed in the system, so that whenever this cast iron brake blocks are getting wear out or the composite brakes are getting wear out, those slacks will be taken up by these slack adjusters, so that always we will have a shorter time or the exact time as desired, as designed for the brakes to apply in your brake system. And this is the initial designs with which I have been running for so many times. Now, as they said, we have got a latest trend on it. In order to avoid these leverages in these systems, we are going for the Boogie mounted brake system, where these brake cylinders, instead of mounting over on your under frame, this both brake cylinder will be mounted on your bogie itself, and the force will be applied directly there itself, reducing the number of linkages, leverages, all those things. And this is the system for this one. Initially, from a distributor valve, there we will be supplying a distributor valve to the brake cylinder, whereas here we will be supplying through an APM or automatic pressure modifier to the brake cylinders, and each bogies will have one brake cylinder which is mounted inside the bogie itself to apply the force. Now we will see the arrangement of this brake gear bogie mounted brake systems. Here you have got a brake cylinder. When it is applied on the fulgurums, it will expand and make the springs to move, and the brakes are applied over the wheels. And as we said earlier, we need some mechanisms to modify the force between an empty wagon and a load wagon. How we are going to achieve in a bogie mounted brake system? Here we are going to supply. So here we are modifying the pressure which we are applying into the brake cylinder. That we can have. Here we have got one sensor or APM. It senses the loaded condition of your wagon or empty condition based on the fluctuations of your suspensions, and it senses whether your wagon is in the loaded condition or in the empty condition. And when it senses your wagon is at the empty conditions, it admits just 2.2 kg per centimeter square into your brake cylinder, that with a lesser brake force, and it supplies 3.8 kg per centimeter square when it is in loaded conditions, and it varies according to the requirement of the brake force, and thus we will be applying the two-stage braking as required for an empty wagon as well as for a loaded wagons. And next we are going for the round bumping gears. This is one of the another factor which we will be having peculiar to the railway wagons. Unlike road vehicles, a rail wagon, as we have said, it contains about 58 vehicles, whereas a driving force from a train engine has to be transmitted to the entire wagons to full. So one of the mechanisms or one of the components we have provided in individual wagon is called the draw and buffing gear. It has to take the draw or full force of the locomotive for driving, as well as it has during the time of controlling from the locomotives or when negotiating a down gradient, it has to absorb the shocks between the wagons. So a train is made up of many wagons. As per requirement, these wagons to be grouped to form a train or ungrouped to form another train. In normal condition, driving force is from the train engine. In running train, some wagons will be in the full mode and some in force mode, or a buffing force and a draw force is there. So, if it is uncontrolled or undamped, it will cause damages to the underframe. So, to avoid that, we have imposed this draw and buffing gears. There are many types we have been using. The screw coupling with side bumpers is the initial design, and the latest designs are using CBC and slackless couplers. The screw couplings are gone. CBC is used in almost all wagons, and slackless couplers are used only in specialized BLC variants. Now we will see the CBC. This is an explorer view of the CBC components. Here we have got components. This causes a coupler head, and we have got a knuckle which can couple between the two couplers and take the vehicle's front or back. And to transmit a buffing force, we have got a buffing case here. So it will take the draw forces with a yoke connected by a yoke pin, and this rear stoppers and front stoppers will be attached to the vehicle body. So a force which has been transmitted through this CBC will be transmitted to your underframe, and your vehicles will be either pulled or pushed according to the requirements. And here we will see the exploder wheel of the CBC component. This we call it as a coupler body, which carries the major force. And this is the knuckle, which will be used to couple between the component, two CBCs. And to keep the knuckle in position, we are using a component called as a lock. To operate this block, we are using this rotary levers. And this is the arrangement by which this lock will sit inside the knuckle to keep the knuckle in position, or the couplers are locked in position. Thank you. I think I have not wasted your time. I have shared some of the knowledge which I have got over the years. Any questions? Feel free to ask me if you have got anything to ask. Please. Sir, anything?
Teja? Teja?
Hello.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much for the wonderful lecture, sir. So it was an eye-opening for the people who are working in mechanical engineering as well as general engineering. So we were hearing about a lot of things on railways, but in depth of railways, we could have an insight of all such things and how the bogies and other things are loaded. So it's a good opportunity that we can interact. So people, if you have any questions, you can query. The session is open to the audience. So in case any queries are there, you can raise up to the.
Yes, sir. We have queries.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Sir, first of all, I thank our resource person for giving us such a extensive, informative lecture on just bogies and wagons. We always see bogies and wagons just like a moving compartments. That's all for carrying normal, foodstuff or whatever it may be. But there are many things involved. We are able to understand now. From my side, only one question I'm having.
Yes, sir. Please.
You have a 8-wheel bogie, no, sir?
Yes, sir.
So what happens generally? When there is a curve.
Yes, sir.
Any curve is there, no? There is
Yeah.
a point. Then curves are there. The curves are coming.
Yeah.
Generally, the curves, the 8-wheel bogies are now. Recently it has come, no? Recently.
Yes, sir.
So previously, the track which has been put, it is for 4-track mean 4-wheel bogie. Am I right, sir?
that is what we are doing is that the rails are same, but what we are,
I want,
fine.
then you please answer, then only it will be
Yes.
more interesting actually.
Yes.
I will finish my question.
Yes, sir, please.
So four-wheel bogies were going before,
Yes.
and we are having the same track with curves.
Yes.
But now the bogies have 8 wheels,
Yes.
but it has to take same curves what is pre-constructed before. Am I right, sir?
Yes. Because
How
you
is
just
it
misunderstood one
made
point.
possible?
I will come to the answer.
Ah.
Can I start?
Yeah, please, sir.
Sir, you are just confused one thing. I said 8-wheeler wagons, but it is still 2 bogies, each with 4 wheels. We will be seeing from our figures. All my bogies will have 4 wheels only. So 2 sets of bogies will be mounted on a wagon at a far apart. Okay?
Okay, sir.
So the curve negotiability will be with this one set of the wheels between mounted inside the bogie. So earlier, these 2 wheel sets will be mounted on the wagon body itself. So it has, that is the wheelbase we call that, or the distance between the 2 wheel sets will be more. And it will have some problem in negotiating the curve. Now we are reducing the distance between these 2 wheels. But these 2 bogies will be at the 2 ends, and they will have a swiveling mechanism through our centrifuges with the body. So these bogies will turn, whereas the body we need not to turn. So these wagons can very well negotiate a curve, even it can negotiate a sharper curve than of a 4-wheeler bogie. Have you got the point, sir?
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Understand.
That is the reason why these bogie vehicles are capable of running at higher speed than our 4-wheeler wagons.
Nice. Sir, one more question. We use you're shown many times the leaf springs, right? Leaf springs.
Yes.
Leaf springs, right? Why don't they go for other spring systems which is available, especially for wagons?
Sir, initially we started with the leaf spring, but now we have got advantages of going for the coil springs. Leaf spring is because in leaf spring, the design is such that it is always robustic in one nature, and the second one is the damping in a leaf spring is always by the friction between the leaves of a leaf spring. Am I right?
Yes, exactly.
But in case of our vehicles with this coil springs, we can have a separate dampers. Even in Casner bogies, we are using frictional dampers, which I have not explained it to you. That's why you may be questioning today.
Exactly.
I actually in the coil springs here we are seeing no, sir. I will be showing. There is another damper, frictional damper is available between this side frame, what we are calling, which is mounted below this bolster. So it will have the damping force or the cushioning force. So it is easy to control our damping or a better suspension with coil spring. That is the advantage. That's why we are going for the coil springs instead of leaf spring.
Okay. Right, sir. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
Please.
Thank you very much. Hello, Bala sir.
Yes, sir. Any further?
Yes, sir.
From my side, over, sir.
If there is any further questions,
Shall I, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Sir, actually, I am student from Rajalakshmi Institute of Technology, sir.
Very great, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
My name is Lakshmi. So, sir, if I want to write any railway exams, what are the exams that I need to prefer, sir?
Madam, we have got many exams competent for the technological presence, and we have got Indian Engineering Services, maybe you may be knowing. Apart from that, at local levels, we have got RRBs. So various levels you can write, and the call files will come in a regular manner. And Indian Engineering Services now merged with Indian Railway Management Services, and those things also you can try. That will be generally conducted by the UPSC. And for other exams, you can write from our RRBs, which will be normally advertised based on the vacancies arising on the Journal Railways. that will come in the regular time based on the openings available. Any other questions, ma'am?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, now I'm studying second year, sir. So when shall I write those exams, sir?
That is at the end of your final year exam, you can write. That is what we are expecting normally is you are expected to be the qualified engineer when you are entering the service.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions, sir?
Yes, sir. So there is no questions, I think so. So yeah, it was self-explanatory and it is a good interactions as well, sir. So thank you so much for the opportunity which has been taken care by Veerasamy sir. So thank you, Veerasamy sir, for arranging such a wonderful meeting that we could understand what are all the bogies doing in railways. So it's not alone the bogies. So we always look at a perspective like railways bringing lot of revenue means it's all because of the loading and unloading. So that is the largest part of the revenue that has been taken care. But we don't know what is the engineering behind it. But now IEI TVLC has made it possible that it has given an insight of what is the bogie and how the braking and other engineering activities are done. And such a calm and polite, humble person, so Shanmugha Sundara sir. So it is a good opportunity to interact with you, sir. But it is virtual. But one day we will come over there and we will visit your place as well as we can also have an interaction, sir. So it is a good opportunity that we have met today. So we network further, sir. So thank you so much for this wonderful lecture, sir. And I also thank all the participants who have come here and they have interacted with the speaker. And it is a good opportunity for networking with such a community like Reshni from Kesani from Rajalakshmi Engineering College. She has queried on how to get into the engineering field. So that is a good thing that people, you can also connect with such personalities by connecting IEI TVLC means. So you need to become a member of institution of engineers. So there are a lot amount of opportunities working with the professionals. So we'll stay connected for other further connectivity. So thank you so much. And if there is no queries, we can end up this session. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Veerasamy sir, and other committee members who are present here.